you very much, Kumar. Always a pleasure to share any kind of stage with you, physical or virtual. But we are always well connected as good old friends and brothers. Uh, I'll be talking about posterior polar cataract, and thank you very much for the compliments that you gave. It was the support of all of you that we could get through this trying time. This is something femtolaser that we have been doing for the last 7, 8 years, and we have a couple of publications on the use of femtolaser for posterior polar cataract. And I think even if I have to give a greater discount to the patient or maybe pay from our own pocket, I would prefer to do a femtolaser for a posterior polar cataract. Now, when you are looking at a posterior polar cataract, the preoperative evaluation is something that we are just about finishing a thesis on to see whether we can preoperatively also look at the weakness in the posterior capsule, which a lot of us are now trying to do. A good slit lamp examination is something which is recommended, and then even the OCT or even the Schwingfurt camera, or you have the IOL Master 700, you can try to look, and I'll just show you some images that you can find out whether there's a pre-existing rent or not. Now, there is a pre-existing weakness. There may not be a pre-existing rent, but the posterior capsule is weak, and even at the end of the day, end of the procedure, if you're doing a hydration, you can split open the capsule because of the weakness which is there. So therefore, doing a hydrodissection to cleave the cortex and causing the hydraulic rupture of the posterior capsule is the kind of issue that we can have when we are doing a normal phacoemulsification. When you're doing a femtolaser, the pneumodissection happens and you have the zone where the pneumodissection goes, and that is very, very important. The other part is that you have a good capsular excess always in case of a femto, and the nuclear disassembly has already been done. The other important thing is that you need to have closed stable chamber, and when you're doing a phacoemulsification, slow fluidics will be there. Now, ASOCT is something which you can use preoperatively, as also you can use it. What is the 360-degree high definition OCT that you get in the femtolaser system is something very, very great. CCC, I told you, careful hydro procedures, and the epinuclear cushion is something that is very important. Now, I'll just show you the images for a high definition, high definition OCT that you have. This is the anterior lens capsule, cornea, etc. But you can see here, this is a clear-cut defect that is seen here. And the specificity of this is very, very great, that you can actually make out that if there is an existing defect which is there, whether you will get a PCR or not. The important thing is to protect this defect. And to protect this defect, what you need in this particular case, you can see that this is the defect that you have. You raise this bar above, and you can see that this is very clearly the defect where it is. And this epinuclear cushion that you have, this is where the nuclear emulsification will happen, and you will not have any opening till the very end in this particular defect. So these are two cases where you can see on the this part of the screen where you can see that there is an intact posterior capsule. You can see here, while in this particular case, this is the defect which is there. And these are the bubbles that you are raising to get a good epinuclear cushion. And there are studies to look at anterior segment OCT to identify eyes with posterior polar cataract, whether they can demonstrate the same in the OPD. And preoperatively, it is now being used, and however, its efficacy and specificity has not been fully documented, and we'll soon be out with our particular results. These are a couple of papers that we have talked about, that how specific we are and how sensitive we are as regards femtolaser integrated OCT to detect pre-existing polar. So whenever I do a femto, if I know that there is a pre-existing defect, then I'll go with a peribulbar block. Otherwise, my anesthetist, I'll tell him that there is not going to be a rent in this particular case. And 100% of the times I've been able to tell him properly that there is a rent or there isn't a rent in this particular case. So I'll just show you. This is again, you can see this is the catalyst system. This is the rent. We are increasing the bubbles here. You can clearly see that this is going to be a pre-existing rupture that is there. But you have to get on to this rupture only at the very end once you have removed all the cortex. And that is what you are able to achieve. Good capsular excess. I have not done any hydro dissection or delineation. And you can see that we are breaking up the pre-chopped nucleus and just slowly, gently aspirating it without much manipulation that is there. And you can see that all the nucleus is coming out. You can see that posterior polar cataract staring at you right at the bottom. And again, you can see that we are removing this part of the nucleus because there is a pneumodissection. Again, see here, I can disentangle this nucleus from the epinuclear cushion and just remove it. So never ever are we getting any nuclear drops ever since we have gone on to this. And now you can see that this is the epinucleus that we are taking out. The cleavage plane is again there. And you can see that don't let the pressure, the chamber deflate. You can see we are going to put viscoelastic. And once we have put viscoelastic, we start from the edge, from the different edge, and not pull the cortex till the very end. And it is only the last piece of the cortical fibers that we have pulled that you get this particular defect, which I told you it is 100% going to be there. And then we can put a 3-piece lens into the capsular bag and capture if we want. Now, in this particular case, this is the photo essay that we published. This is a pre-existing rent. There is absolutely, normally you get these vertical rents that you have in the polar cataracts. And in this particular case, again, you can see on the OCT, there is absolutely no problem. You will just see here, this is the area where you're going to have the defect in this particular case. And we are raising, we are raising the bar, and I'll just go forward. You can see here, this is the after the femto, and this is the intra-op OCT. Again, you can see on the intra-op OCT, there is a clear-cut problem that is going to be there. And this is the absolute epinuclear cushion that we have. This is where the rent is, which is trying to come out. And it is only at the end that we will have this problem of, if at all, anything. So you can see we are aspirating this. Once we are aspirating, we can see this rent is showing. But mind you, put viscoelastic, you can see this rent has opened up, but you can see this bubble of vitreous in the intra-op OCT that's coming. There is absolutely no breakage of the hyaloid phase. And in this particular case, we went ahead, there was a jerk here, and it is only at the end of the hydrodissection, at the hydration of the wound after putting the suture that we have extended this. So this is a problem, and even at the last moment. So we should not have the misadventure of trying to put a lens which comes out with a jerk. So you can see that the lens just went in because the wound just gaped and it was a larger wound. And you can see that the IOL is going down. So we have a problem. So we retract the iris, go in with a forceps to hold the lens, and we are able to hold the lens. You can see the haptic, and then we will enlarge the incision slightly, cut the lens into half, and you can see I have a small pupil now, and that's a problem that is there. Put viscoelastic, put in the hooks to see as to where you have this beautiful rhexis, that is the posterior tear that was there. Do a good vitrectomy and then put a 3-piece lens. So in the first place only, like in the first case, I had put a 3-piece lens. I should have put a 3-piece lens, and we are able to get a good outcome in this particular patient. So this is the photo essay of the same case, just to show you, if you do a good pre-op checkup, you can see here, if you do an OCT IOL Master 700, you can clearly make out that there is a defect here. On the OCT in the Catalyst system, you can make out that there is a defect here. Integrated OCT intra-op, this is the defect. You can see this bubble of vitreous coming in, and this, you can see that this is the defect which was there in this particular case. So friends, I would say that the femto is something that is giving you the biggest advantage of getting you perfect incisions, doing an LRI, having an architecture, maintaining a closed stable chamber till the end with minimal fluctuations if you keep your fluidics under control. And the CCC could be your lifesaver, like a jacket. And if everything goes well, you can put the lens into the bag, but otherwise, if it doesn't, you can have a well-centered, and you can put the lens in the sulcus with a capture onto the CCC. So this is the nuclear softening and the pneumodissection that happens. The nuclear fragments are softened, and it is very easy to remove and rotate these nuclear fragments without disturbing the actual rent place where you have. Abhay has described the hydrodissection not required, and this you can do what is known as these concentric rings, and 1, 2, 3, and you can keep removing them. And there is the pneumodissection that happens with these rings, and the thick posterior offset is going to actually keep the cushion right at the end, and the pneumodissection that has happened will allow you easy removal of these nuclear fragments. So friends, again and again emphasizing that this is like a armor shield that you have with you, the epinuclear cushion, which keeps everything under control, does not allow the fluid to go in, and does not cause hydration of the vitreous to come in. So this just to show you the older cars of the phacoemulsification variety, where you will definitely have a lot of crush injuries of the ribs. You may lose your life in a phacoemulsification, but if you have the femto advantage, where you have an air cushion which is there, you will definitely be able to come out alive, and I would say, despite the crash, be surviving and living and make the patient happy. So femto, according to me, is a procedure of choice for these particular cases. This is just a comparison. Abe and Tetial, etc., they have shown also, Osher, that if you are doing the normal and have 36% or 26% rent rate, but go on to flax, the rent, the rent rate is not the point. The safety is there, nuclear going down, and the rent, they both of them tend to go down. So posterior polar cataracts are nightmare even for the most experienced surgeons, and ASOCT and the other parts of the femtolaser, determining the posterior capsule and planning it accordingly makes the surgery much more predictable and safer. And flax, according to me, provides the safety cushion and is the way forward. Thank you very much for your kind attention.